Yeah, it's saying live on Facebook.
Welcome, everyone, to Angel Heart Radio. I'm your host, Deb Goldberg, and it brings me great pleasure to be here with you today, and it's an honor to serve you in the highest way that I can by bringing you messages of divine love and blessings for your life. You are dearly loved, cherished, and blessed. We have a great show for you tonight, and I want to bring on my special guest host. We're actually filling in for Annette McCoy's show tonight. She is on vacation and asked if we would pick up some of her shows. And so I'm so excited to invite Carol Ann Cross on with me. She is an angel intuitive, a spiritual workshop and meditation facilitator, and she's a podcast host of A Vision of Angels on Angel Heart Radio. So I'm so grateful to have her with me today. So welcome, Carol.
Hi, Deb. I'm really, really honoured and blessed to be here with you today. I'm very excited to be able to talk to everybody who wants to hear what you and I are going to discuss in conversation today, because that's what I love about Angel Heart Radio. It's not an interview per se, it's a conversation, and that's what I love about it. It's relaxed and we just go with the flow on how it goes. So I'm really happy to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you. Me too. And it's neat because we've met at the Enlighten Women Enlighten You Summit that finished up in October 1st. And that was really my first chance to get to know Carol Ann a little bit. Even though we're both podcast hosts, we're both kind of busy doing our own thing. So we didn't really have an opportunity to spend much time together. And so I'm grateful for your light and love and what you have to share and your wisdom. I think it's fantastic. I think you're fantastic. And so I'm so happy to be doing this show with you tonight. Okay.
Mm-hmm. No, go on.
Okay. Before we get started, I like to talk a little bit about the other podcast hosts.
Yeah.
And talk about Anaya Joy Holili, who is the founder of Angel Heart Radio, who is also a certified angel intuitive. And do you want to talk a little bit about your show, about A Vision of Angels, so that people know what it is and when it's on?
Yeah, A Vision of Angels is something that was downloaded to Anaya, and I was really, really blessed when she asked me to share the hosting with her, because we're friends from a long way back, and we just seem to have that beautiful energy that flows together. But the idea of A Vision of Angels, it's just to talk to people and ask them what their vision of angels is, how they came to know that they were in the company of angels, and how they work with the angels in their day-to-day life. It's really the idea of that is to let everybody know that they can communicate with their angels. All they have to do is to ask and just trust and believe. And that's what the relaxed and happy idea of the Visions of Angels is. It's just all about letting everybody know that they can contact their angels. And everybody does it differently. And that's why we have different guests on, because then they can talk about how they made their contact and how they work with the angels. And then people can say, oh, yeah, that sounds like something that I can understand, because not everybody understands the way someone else might do it, and how easy it is. You don't have to have this great big special place, and you don't have to be this extra special person. The angels are there for all of us. They love us, and they're there wanting to help us every moment of every day. And that's Angel Heart Radio is about sharing that information with everybody who wants to know it.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. It's a great show. I've caught several of the shows, and I always find them wonderful, interesting. Everybody's has such a amazing story that's unique to them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I just love hearing other people's stories. So it's
Yes.
so tune in. And did you say what day it's on, or?
It's on the first and the fourth Friday in the USA and the first and the fourth in Australia. It's slightly different now. We're using Zoom to do it. So the Zoom feed goes live in Australia on the Friday, the first and fourth Friday. And then the Blog Talk soundtrack from the Zoom goes on the first and the fourth Saturdays in Australia, which is the first and the fourth Friday in the USA.
Okay.
I think I got that right.
That's a lot to remember. So also there's several other podcast hosts that have great shows. Like we said, we're filling in for Annette McCoy's show tonight. And then there is Marsha Martin and Karen Palmer and Catherine Hahn. And so you have several shows to pick from that have all different types of topics for anybody to be interested in. So please, you can go on to Angel Heart Radio, and you can actually look through all the different podcasts that are on there from all the different podcast hosts, and listen to whatever you like. They're archived, and they're a lot of fun.
Yes.
So somebody's saying they can't hear me too good. I don't know. I have my volume up all the way. Thank you. Thank you, Sherry Ann, is this any better? Do I need to speak louder? Can you hear me better? And I wanted to talk to you about our show tonight. So our show is connecting with loved ones that have passed on. And it's about healing from beyond. And although we understand that transitioning does not mean that we're separated as humans, we still go through a physical and emotional grieving process. And so today we're going to talk about grief and loss, and learn that you can connect with loved ones and others that have transitioned from this life. And this means that really anything could be healed, whether a person has died or still alive. As spirit, we are one and always connected. And this gives us many opportunities to be guided by our loved ones when we connect, and other spirits throughout our life. And so, Carol Ann and that's something very special to her heart that she shares with all of us, is connecting with spirit. And so do I. And I thought this was really a timely discussion because it's getting towards the holidays, and when you have lost a loved one, people kind of it saddens them more. They have more grief symptoms as the holidays come, because it seems to put you through a grieving process again, that the people you love, or even if they're pets that have passed on, that they're not with you this time of the year. You want to talk about that a little bit, Carol Ann?
Yeah, they're not with you physically, and I understand that, but they are with you. Their energy and their essence and their spirit is with you. And having lost my eldest daughter when she was 6 years old, I went through a terrible time then, until quite a few years later, because I'll just backtrack a moment. I had grown up with a mother who was an amazing clairvoyant, and so I'd grown up with spirit. Spirit and angels were with me all through my life. And then life comes along and you get busy with life, and I had two beautiful daughters. And when my eldest daughter was 4, she was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia. And even though she was not well, I always believed that she would pull through it. But that didn't happen. And when she was 6, she made her transition to spirit. And at that time, I turned against everything I'd grown up with. So I turned against spirit. I turned against God. I didn't like God. I wouldn't talk to God, and I wouldn't talk to anybody. I wouldn't talk to my angels. And I think it was only my youngest daughter who kept me here. She kept me grounded and gave me a reason for living. But I still felt very empty. And so I had quite a few not very happy years, which was a normal human reaction. And then one night, I used to feel really cold in the night. My bones would be like they were ice. And this went on for quite a long time, and I could never get warm. And then one night in the middle of the night, I just said, "Is that you, Danielle?" And as I said that, my whole body went warm. I just filled with warmth and love and beautiful energy. And I could feel her holding my hand. And from that moment on, I knew that she was there with me. And it just brought back all of the love and the energy and the things that I had learned and grown up with. And so I then knew that I had to start working with the angels and spirit again. So that was what I did then. And I speak to her all the time because she's with me all the time. I know when she's with me. I was very blessed. She lets me know, and she works with me from the other side. And I know that she and I have lived many lives together, and I was very blessed that she had chosen me to be her mother for those 6 years of her life, because we choose our parents and we choose the experiences that we are to learn and grow from in this lifetime. And this was an experience I needed to do. And I went through a lot of physical pain and illness before I had come back to realizing that Danielle was with me. So Christmas morning, birthday mornings, everything. I wake up and I wish her a Merry Christmas. I wish her a happy birthday. I'll sometimes be out in the yard and I just talk to her, whether I'm aware that she's there or not, because this is about forming a connection between yourself and with those who have passed. Then that being said, right, my mum was very sick 3.5 years ago, and she and I both knew she was going to make her transition, and I had flown down to be with her, and she told me I needed to go home. And so we both said our physical goodbyes, and we laughed because we said, well, we're a bit blessed and we're better than, not better than everyone else, but we had the opportunity to connect after she has made her transition. And so my mother made her transition. And then to my amazement, I felt pain, I felt sadness. I knew, my spiritual self knew that Mum was at peace. She was well. She was able to breathe correctly, and she was just happy and loved. But my physical self needed to grieve, and my physical self actually felt the pain of not being able to pick up the telephone and ring her and talk to her about things that happened. And then I had an aha moment. I don't need the phone to talk to her. She's here with me. And so I just talked to her, and, something happens. Oh, Mum. And it's about making this connection with those who have passed, because that is good for us, and it's good for our heart and our love and our energy, but it's also good for those in spirit as well, to know that we realise that they're always there with us. They're always there supporting us. And that was a big thing for me to realise with Mum, because I thought, right, I've come through Danielle's transition and I've realised all of this, but it was a shock to me that I still needed, my physical body still needed to have that time of healing when Mum had made her transition. And then once I accepted that fact, then I was able to move on and communicate with her and do all of those things. So they never fully leave us. They're always here loving and supporting us. And I think we're just so blessed when we're able to realize that. It's very important.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think what's so important that you talk about is, just because we understand that there's life beyond us, there is there is divine spirit everywhere. That's what we are. It doesn't mean that we don't go through human grief. And so I think for a lot of light workers, a lot of people might think that, you know, okay, I know that somebody's transitioned and that they're fine, they're with God and or heaven, whatever anybody believes. And you know, I'm not supposed to really have these grieving feelings because I know that they're fine.
Yeah.
So I think it's so important talking about that it is okay to go through a grieving process, and whether you want to or not, your body, you emotionally, you are going to do that to some degree. For a person to person, it's going to be different.
Yeah, because you know, we come back here to experience feelings and emotions and all of those things, and this is the only place we can experience these emotions and these feelings. This is what we're here for, to learn. And to me, it was with Danielle, it was a very important thing. So the fact that I had grown up with spirit, then I turned against spirit when she made her transition. But then when she came to me and showed me that she was still with me, many, many years later, that was. And to me, that was a wonderful lesson for me to learn. And so, and to realize that we choose our parents, and she had chosen me and I had chosen her, and that we had chosen to do this, learn this lesson together, or that she had come back to help me learn the lesson, I should say. And then, you know, to prepare me then thinking for my mother. But that was also a part of the learning for me as well, to learn that just because I have these spiritual learnings and understandings doesn't mean that I'm not going to experience the human side. And so all of these things added up together is my way of looking at it, for me to learn various things as I'm going through this lifetime. And we're always learning, you know, we're continually on the learning path in this lifetime until we make our transition. And my way of thinking about that is that, okay, I'm still here, so I obviously haven't learned everything yet that I've needed to learn, and that's good because I'm not ready to make my transition just yet. And you know, I feel I have a lot to learn and to live and to grow, and it's just I just love life at the moment. It's just wonderful.
Oh, that's awesome. It's awesome for people to see, because the hardest death that people have to deal with is really the loss of a child, no matter what age they are. For humanity, that is usually the hardest death to deal with. And so for people to see you thriving and loving life and accepting what has happened, and knowing that you don't have to carry any guilt or shame about it or responsibility, is profound in helping others move through grief. Yeah.
And that's really important, because when Danielle first made her transition, I went through a period of time of blaming myself. I'm a mother. A mother shouldn't let her child die. What did I do wrong? You know, it has to be my fault. But you know, that was just part of the grieving process I was going through at that time. And it's very important for us to grieve, because you know, we need to release that grieving emotion. We need to share it with people who are willing to share at that time with us. That was what I found difficult also. People didn't want to talk about Danielle, and I needed to talk about her. And so, you know, if somebody is grieving, it's really important to let them talk, to let them say, to let them get out what they need to get out, because this is part of clearing that energy from your physical body, because we've got to look after this physical body. It's a vessel for our soul in this lifetime. And so we have to allow that communication and to let all of that out, so that's part of the healing process.
Definitely. All thoughts and feelings are energy. And so releasing grief is tremendous, because we carry so much grief inside of us that has just been repressed, suppressed. And so allowing yourself to grieve and feel helps you not have stuck energy in your body, because that stuck energy actually turns into illness, physical pain. So actually allowing yourself to, what I would say is emote, to cry, or to however you express your grief. And one of the things that I've always gotten hung up with, because for so long I never let myself feel. I didn't want to feel anything. I didn't want any pain. And because I didn't want to feel it, I didn't think I could manage it. And so that all gets trapped in your body. And so it is so important to feel. And so I got really good at speaking my feelings. So I'm going to tell you how I feel, but I didn't allow myself to feel the feelings. You know, and you have to feel, so to release. And you're so true about, a lot of people don't know how to talk about death. They don't know, especially for a child. Most people don't even know what to say to somebody. They don't even know how to approach you, because they're feeling your suffering. They're feeling the suffering too. You know, we're all connected, and so somebody suffering that you care about, or even in a group of people, you're all feeling the suffering, the death together, but you don't know how to express it verbally or feel it, how to talk about it. What do you say to somebody? And do you have any ideas that are helpful for people of what they can say to someone when they?
Well, I think the most important thing is, the most important thing not to say is, I know how you feel, because you don't. So that's the line you definitely don't say. But I think just to be there and to say to someone, you know, I'm here for you. What do you need? Do you need to express yourself? What do you want to talk to me about? Or if you don't want to talk, just let me sit here and hold your hand. Just to be there to support someone, and let them do the talking. And if they don't want to talk, that's fine and good, because you can just hold their hand, and by holding their hand, you're letting them know that you're supporting them, you're giving them your love, and you're just there for them. That's the important thing, for them to know that you're just there for them. Because it's interesting what you said a minute ago about us storing the feelings in our body, because after Danielle made her transition, quite a few years later, before I'd connected with her again, I had a very serious heart condition that they couldn't fix by an operation. They could only fix by medication, which was really horrible. And what it was when we looked at the metaphysics, once I started Reiki, the metaphysics were that my heart had turned to stone, and I had built a wall around my heart because I didn't want to be hurt anymore. But the bottom line of all of that was that my heart had actually been broken when Danielle died. So I needed to heal my heart, and I needed to mend my heart. And that's what Reiki helped me do. But the other thing that helped me to heal, and my heart to heal, was I had to understand why and what had happened. And that was the understanding that she had chosen me to be her mother, and that she was only meant to be here for those 6 years of her life, and that we had agreed for that to happen between the two of us when we came back into this lifetime. And so once I understood the spiritual message, and I was getting the Reiki healing, and I could move ahead with my life, because then it was after that she contacted me. So I don't think that she could do that until I had had the physical and spiritual understanding. So then once she'd contacted me and we started working together, her in spirit and me in the physical, then my heart healed. So we do hold that in our body, and it can manifest in really terrible things. Because when you sit opposite your heart surgeon and he says to you, we're running out of options, Carol, but don't worry, we'll work something out, then you know that's really jolly serious. Mm-hmm. So that's when we needed to take steps for ourselves. And so we do manifest it in our body because we have those thoughts. So by talking about these things, by doing work on ourselves, even that if that work is just understanding, okay, you're one of God's beautiful, beautiful human people. You're a soul going through a human experience. Okay, so I'm loved. No matter what's happened in this world, God loves me, and I'm fully loved by the spirit world and the angels. And how blessed am I to be here at this time, living this life? What can I learn from this lesson? What am I meant here to learn? And they were my major lessons about life. And I'm sure I've got many more lessons to go. But it's about communicating. It's about knowing we're loved, and it's about being supported by the people who are around you, whether that's angels, spirit, or humans. And so, I believe that if somebody is grieving and they come to us, just to let them talk. If they don't want to talk, just to hold their hand, let them know they're loved and that you'll hear from them no matter what and no matter when. And that to me is part of my life lesson in this lifetime, I believe.
Yeah, that's beautiful. We have a question on Facebook by Sherry Ann Merland. She said that she has been seeing a white mist the last few years, but a lot more the past couple of weeks. And I was wondering if this might be spirit or a portal or both.
Spirit, or what was the next word you said?
A
spirit or
a portal, like an opening.
Oh, a portal.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my first question is, have you asked? Have you talked to the mist?
Mm.
Because the mist is obviously wanting you to recognize it and to know. I think possibly it is spirit, but talk to it. Okay, so they're telling me you need to ask it a question. Who are you? Why are you here? What can we do?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that to me is the most important thing to do. That's the first step.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's great recommendations, Sherry. Is to be open to that energy and what it wants to convey to you.
Yeah.
And I think that leads us right into also, you said that you connected with Danielle when you were ready to, when you started to feel that maybe she was there. But we can actually just ask.
Yes.
But you have to be open to it. And and I know that there's a lot of people afraid to be open to connecting, that they don't know what it's going to be like. They don't know if it's going to be something positive or negative. And or they want to, but they feel like they're not ready to. What opens you up is opening your heart up. Opening your heart up to ask, are you here? Who is there? Who is there to help me? Or you want to specifically talk to God or Jesus or Buddha or the angels, whatever. You want to talk to a loved one, is to ask, I would like to connect with you. It is on my heart And I really, really want to invite you in, because although the divine is always there, we need to open to it and invite it in. It is always willing to converse with you, to dance with you, to guide you, to love you, but you have to open your heart and really want it. You can't just go in and say, all right, talk to me. Your heart plays a role in this. And getting past that fear, because it is fearful when you don't know what you're dealing with. And we have had all kinds of ideas put in our head about divine entities. And some people think that, it's very fearful and it could be scary or negative energy. And I can tell you from everything I have experienced and learned is that there is only positive love, divine love, gentleness. There is nothing scary. From what I've been told, is that, I don't know if it was from Archangel, I don't know if it was from Raphael, I believe, that if I am feeling any kind of fear, it is coming from the ego, even towards the divinity. It is only ego that would create fear or negative energy. It is nothing having to do with God. So, so that's something to think about if you're having thoughts of fear. And you can be fearful, and you can be open anyway. It's okay. You can open your heart and say, well, I'm scared. I don't know what I'm going to get. but I truly, truly want to connect, and you will. And if it doesn't work, keep doing it. I used to tell people, while you're in meditation, if you want to use a physical metaphor, I would say is like, put your hand up, like you're reaching your hand up into heaven and pulling down the divine energy that's there, and saying, who's here? Who's willing to grab my hand? I'm putting my hand out to you. Who's willing to grab it and hold my hand and help me? As a gesture physically, to actually see, and you can see. For some people, they see the divine. Other people hear. We can all do all of it, but we shut down sometimes to seeing it because it's too frightening for some people. And but you always hear in your heart. You don't have to hear words. It just floats up in your heart in a knowingness. And you know who's talking to you. So, right?
Oh, definitely. And this is it. We just need to ask. One of the things that I sort of sometimes say to people, they might say, oh, but if somebody in the house hears me, or if somebody overhears me, I might feel a little bit silly. Well, go out in your garden. Go out in the garden. Ask out when you're outside. Ask at any time, because, the angels are with you all the time. Mm-hmm. And so, the three things I sort of like to say is ask, trust, and believe. And that's the three things that I like to work by. Mm-hmm. And so the main thing is, though, to ask. And if you don't understand, because sometimes people will get a message and they don't understand who it's from, or they don't get the name or anything like that, that you've got support beside you that's looking after you. It's not going to let anything bad happen to you, because you've got your gatekeeper and your guardian angel, and everybody are there with you all of the time. They're with you through many, many lifetimes. So you just need to ask. And if you don't understand, ask them to show you in another way. And if you still don't understand, all right, show me a sign. Show me a sign that somebody is here with me. And it might be in the form of the numbers on a number plate. It could be a song on the radio. But ask for signs if you're not understanding, and then you'll start to then make that connection, and that connection can build up and grow. And you might need to take a little bit of time to be able to understand that, oh, that's Aunt Mary. She passed away several years ago, but I was very close to her, or something like that. I think it's always really important that we look for things like the signs if we're not being able to communicate really easily. But, you know, we've just got to be open. We've got to open our hearts, as Deb said, and we've just got to ask. And it'll blow you away. It really will when you first start doing all of this stuff. It's amazing.
Yeah, it will blow your mind.
Yeah.
Of the oneness. And that's what we're talking about. The reason that we're able to do this is because all there is divine love, and it's one energy, which I call God. Yeah. And that energy is everything. And love doesn't die, energy doesn't die. Our physical bodies die, but nothing else does. And so you are just as close to your loved one who passed away as you are as if they were standing next to you. But you're just not seeing the physical result of that. But you can connect to anyone. You can connect to anyone who has lived any life, because we are one energy, and that energy lives within each of us because it's God, and God is everything. So one of the things that I wanted to share a little bit is about my own experience with connecting with loved ones who have passed on. Now, my dad passed away in 2008, and he was going in for surgery to replace a valve in his heart. And at this time in my life, I had never, I didn't know I was intuitive in the way that I am. But what happened is he had his surgery and he never really woke up from it. He wasn't able to breathe on his own after a while. So he never came out of it. And the surgeon had to go back in and try to open him up after and find out what went wrong, to see if he could correct something. And, you know, it was late at night. We went back to his home to sleep and thinking we'd come back the next day. And we got a call late at night saying that he wasn't doing well. And I remember getting out of bed and thinking to myself, Dad, hold on. We'll be there really soon. Just please hold on. And I heard, I don't want to hang on anymore. He said, I'm tired. I'm ready to go. And I want to go. I don't want to hang on. And I was like, oh my, not realizing, I thought, am I making this up in my head? Because when you first start to hear it, you start thinking, am I making this up? You know, where are these thoughts coming from? Where is this conversation coming from? And I didn't really truly understand that it was me connecting with him, understanding that he was ready to go. He was tired of medical conditions in his body, and he was just ready to go. And of course, I didn't want to let him go.
No.
But you know, he never woke up, and we had to eventually take him off of a respirator. And there was so many things unsaid between my dad and I. When I was younger, not even that young, I might have been in my 40s or my 50s, and I yelled at him and told him what I thought, all these things that I was mad at him for. Not everything, but anyway. But I never really had a heart-to-heart conversation with him. I was still holding grudges, and I had this huge wall up because I didn't want to get hurt anymore by him. And he tried so hard to make amends, to ask for forgiveness, and to let him in throughout the years. And I just stayed steady with this wall, this, not letting him in. I didn't want to get hurt. So, so a lot of things, I realized that I created this wall and I was not receiving love because that's what I was doing. I wasn't letting love in anywhere. And so that was in 2008. And then I woke up, Jesus woke me up in 2014. And then what I realized is my dad is one of my guides. And so he had come to me and, with Jesus. And I said to Jesus, like, what's he doing here?
I love it.
What's he doing here? And what God was doing is I had to heal with my father after he passed on years. Well, that was 6 years later from his death, that God had dropped me off with my little 4-year-old self.
Yeah.
I was holding a grudge towards my dad. And I love the beach and I love water. And so God always would meet me in the water and we'd go swimming together. In my meditation, this is all guided imagery, and this is the way Jesus woke me up. It's like a movie playing in your head, and I'm not in control of it. It's just going. Like there's a movie playing in my head, and I'm participating in it, and I didn't create it. So God would get to the beach with me, and he'd say, "Okay, now you need to go, both of you, and talk to your father about that particular incident. And I will wait here for you, but you need to talk to him about it." And so here's me and my little self going and having a discussion with my father, and having a completely different perspective when I walked away of understanding what happened, because I was seeing it through 4-year-old eyes and not through truth, not through God's eyes, not through my father's eyes. And so all of these different things kept happening as part of my healing, is ongoing with my dad, of letting go and talking and forgiving all of the things that I was holding on to. And I had to forgive myself for putting this horrible wall up and not giving him my love, withholding love. So I didn't get hurt. So it was a huge lesson to me of how I was creating the pain in my life. My father was doing everything he could to make that amends. And I just wouldn't, I just would say, okay, I accept that, but I didn't really take it in. I didn't really allow the forgiveness, which are stages of healing, stages of forgiveness that happen. So I think that that was an awesome experience of healing from beyond, and having his support now when I need it, or he'll just show up now and then, to really support me in what I'm doing. And being so grateful about my awakening and the things that I'm doing to try to help others awaken. Now, there was also my great grandmother that I don't remember if I've ever met her, but she just pops in one day. And I was working on cutting cords. This cord. I'm cutting that cord. I don't want anything to do with this anymore. I'm breaking these ties of belief systems, negative belief systems, and I'm cutting karmic cords. And my great grandmother comes in and she's laughing at me. I didn't even know who she was when she first came to me. And she's laughing and she says, you can't cut, because I'm thinking, okay, I'm done. I cut all the cords. I don't have to worry about this stuff anymore. And she said, you can't do that. You haven't lived your whole life yet. Yeah. You don't even know what's coming in front of you that you're cutting all these cords and really the meanings of all of them. So she said, you can't do that. And really laughing at me. It was funny, and gave me a message from my mother. And so I've had several different relatives come in and out, like just making a guest appearance. And it's been really wonderful and special to understand that connection is never, ever lost. And it is you that needs to cultivate those connections and want to have those relationships. If you choose to, that it is there for you. And you don't have to wait. Like I said, you can just ask and say, please come into my heart. I'm here. I want to be with you. And I'm ready to communicate with you.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is it. The connections are always there. I had an amazing and most unexpected connection the other day. Anaya and I had been doing a Vision of Angels program, and we were talking to Julie Ryan, and she was explaining this 12 stages of when someone makes their transition. And she said that the maternal mother is always the person there when you make your transition. And as Julie's talking about all of this, I'm thinking, well, Danielle was only 6. I was still here in the physical. My mother was still here in the physical. And my mind is going through, okay. And then it clicked. My mother's mother passed when my mother was only 5 years old. So my mother really didn't have anything much to do with her. And of course, I never knew her. And she was somebody that I hadn't made any kind of connection with because it just wasn't the right time, obviously. And as Julie was talking, I could suddenly feel my grandmother's energy that I had never met. And she just came to me. It was just beautiful. And I just went all goosey, and I'm going goosey now thinking about it. And it was like, it's time now for you and I to connect, Carol. And so, I'm going to start doing some more work and connection with her. So it's like, they're always there, no matter whereabouts they are in the line. And I know her in this energy. So, she's probably had very many energies now since then. But they're always there, no matter how much time has passed. And I'm just looking forward to expanding this beautiful new connection that I've made, because our guides and our angels come into our lives as we stage through and we progress through our life. They come in because they might have the knowledge to help us in this particular stage we're going through. So I'm really excited now that I'm meeting my grandmother. And obviously I've probably met her many lifetimes before, but it's now time for her spirit to come back and connect with me in this lifetime. And one of the other things you said before, Deb, which is very important, is forgiveness. And the hardest person to forgive is ourselves. And you experience that, and I experience that. And that was one of the other things that I needed to do with Danielle. I had to forgive myself for thinking it was my fault that she had died, for thinking that I wasn't a very good mother, and all of those things. So forgiveness is a major, major part of our progress and moving forward in this life. So, but then, you know, once we do it and we do it from our heart, then we can move on. We that's another tick in our little lesson box, and we can move on and start to explore the next part of our journey. And our journey, I mean, my journey is just, it just opened up amazingly. I can't believe where I am today compared to where I was 12 months ago. And this is it, it's about us letting spirit work with us and the angels work with us and guide us and listening to what they say. And sometimes something will come up and you'll think, why would they want to talk to me? You know, who am I? But if that's what we're being guided to do, then trust it, believe it, and trust it and go. Sometimes, and it's just, it takes you to unbelievable places. And I'm just so blessed to be here with you, Deb, and to be working with Angel Heart Radio and the wonderful Anaya, and I just love what I'm doing nowadays. And Dr. Ruth Anderson, wow, what an amazing person. Life is just beautiful, and if I can come through this, everybody can come through it. You can come through it, everyone can.
Yes.
It's all about love. It's all about love.
It's all about love. And I think you talking, you know, mentioning forgiveness again is so important, because that is the only way to heal. Everything is forgivable. Learning how to forgive yourself. Sometimes it's easier to forgive somebody else than it is yourself. But letting go and forgiving yourself, knowing that you did the best that you can, and you're blaming yourself for things that were not your fault half the times. I like the Ho'oponopono prayer that helps you. It says, you would say, please forgive me. I'm so sorry. I love you. And thank you. And what you're really doing is saying, thank you for showing me me. Thank you for showing me me and what I need to do to heal. That everything starts with you and ends with you. And when people have, and I learned this through a friend, Marietta, is people, when we have unresolved grief, like we can't let go, we just keep grieving and grieving and grieving, it is because we are feeling guilty.
Yeah.
And that is what creates ongoing grief, is guilt. Sometimes shame is mixed in there. It's blaming yourself, feeling guilty. And so we are creating that within our own self and punishing ourselves for something that you really don't have enough awareness about. Especially somebody's death, because we don't make those things happen. We don't create somebody's death. And so letting go and forgiving is so important in learning how to have an open heart again towards yourself. And that is one of the lessons that I have had ongoing over the last 5 years with God and Jesus, is really learning how to love myself and accept that love. To really, really take it in that each one of us are good. We can't be anything else, regardless of what our ego tells us. And so, you know, God is so good and so unconditionally loving and gracious. The grace that comes through from God is unbelievable in helping you and sitting with you and trying to work through all of these things. You don't have to do it alone. You're not only connected to your loved ones, but you have a direct connection to God. That there cannot be a not direct connection, because God lives through you. You are God's spirit. And so God is with you every moment of the day. We're just so busy and our mind is so distracted that we don't realize that we have a whole support system inside of ourselves. And God meets you wherever you feel comfortable with, whether that's with God or Jesus or Buddha or angels. It is all divine love. It is all God. And what God does is create an image for you that makes you feel comfortable, that you will accept, so that there is no scary anything. Yeah. And the fact that the goodness of God is knowing that you are never separated from anyone, especially God, ever, that oneness continues forever. So it is important not just to reach out to your loved ones, but God wants an intimate relationship with you. God wants to guide you. God wants to love you. God wants to be part of every single moment of your life. God wants you to understand how wonderful and that you are, that you're just divine love. You and loved beyond anything you have ever experienced. And to have that profound, overwhelming love with you, you can get through anything, no matter how hard it is, no matter how long it takes, is that you are loved and never alone. And so that's an important part of, even though you might feel alone at times or lonely, or especially when you lose somebody that you love, especially, or even pets. People are very attached to their animals. And it's like having another person. Everybody is a divine being. And so you can never, ever be alone, no matter what you're feeling. No matter what.
No, that's a really, really great statement you've just been making, Deb. That's so important, that we're never alone. God is always here. We're always supported. And all we need to do is open our hearts to feel that beautiful love and energy, and then take it from there, because it's all there waiting for us. You know, we're just so blessed. It's all there with us. It's always there. We just be able to sort of understand and access it, because we're never alone. We're never alone.
Well, that wraps up our show. It went by so quick, because
certainly did.
It did, and it's such heartfelt conversation and so much beautiful light and love that comes through for you, for all of our listeners, that this is God's message to everybody, and everybody's having this unique experience in their own way, so that they can share with you all of these important things that make a difference in your life. And so I'm so grateful for you to be here, Carol Ann, and share your experience with Danielle and what you do with the other divine beings, and to pass on your beautiful wisdom to everyone. Yeah. Will you?
Yeah. Look, I'm just so happy to be able to share what I've learned. You know, some of it hasn't always been easy, but you know, I've come through it, and I'm great, and I'm happy, and I'm just so blessed to be here with you, Deb, and to be able to be here to support anybody who's needing support at this time, because this is part of our what I believe is our role in this lifetime, is to be here for one another, and to let everybody know how loved they are by God, and by all of us. And you know, this is it. As you keep saying, we're never alone. So I'm so blessed to be here with you, and thank you for inviting me, Deb.
Oh, you're very welcome. And thank you, Annette, for giving us the opportunity. Yeah. And it is also the mission of Angel Heart Radio, is to help people understand that they matter, and that we're listening and sharing all of this information that comes through to us with you to have you have a much better life and experience with the divine. So when in doubt, never underestimate the power of prayer. You are being listened to and heard throughout the universe, and it always responds with infinite and eternal love. Remember to go inside and listen through your heart for the whispers of heaven. I love you, and God bless you.